everyone. Welcome back to Telepathy, our weekly podcast with new episodes every single Tuesday. We are so happy you could join us today. Welcome. Welcome to class slash therapy slash tea time.
Yes, welcome. Yes, tea time. As I drink my actual Arizona tea, and Enzo sits in front of an entire wall of Arizona teas.
Yes,
If
this
you know, you
episode is
know.
not sponsored by Arizona Tea.
Yeah, shout out to Arizona tea.
Shout out to Arizona Tea though. If you would like to sponsor us, we are here and I do have a can or a wall of cans sitting behind me. So that option is always
Yeah.
there. I'm just kidding. But okay.
That makes me nostalgic for quarantine,
Wait,
because
I was gonna
you
say that. I
were
was literally gonna
making.
say that makes me nostalgic to like the shifting era because that was such a thing then.
Yeah,
Telepathy
yeah.
moments.
Speaking of nostalgia, that's what our episode is about today.
It was a
We kind
telepathic
of,
segue.
yeah, we kind of wanted to talk about, just like nostalgia in general, but also just like to what extent or what point does it get too like unhealthy to be over nostalgic? Like, it's fun to be nostalgic from time to time, but like if you're basing your entire life off of being nostalgic slash not living in the moment, like I feel like that's not healthy. So we're gonna take a deep dive into that. But before we do that, we'll do our camp question, which are our icebreakers and just, little fun thing we do at the beginning of each episode. So I'm coming up with a question today. Name, age, and favorite Girl Scout cookie flavor.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Um, okay, so hi, I'm Enzo. I'm 16, and I think my favorite is either the lemonade ones or the peanut butter patties.
Mm-hmm.
They're both like consistently good and they always hit. So that's my reasoning.
Are the peanut butter patties like kind of shortbread texture, or
No, I don't
like what texture
think
are they?
so. I like the inside of it is, but they're like chocolate covered completely.
Okay, I remember that now.
They're
Yeah, I
so
feel like I,
good.
I like those too, but I literally never branch out, and I just always buy Thin Mints and lemonades. But first, I'll do my name and age. My name's Anna. My age is 21, and as you just heard, my favorites are Thin Mints and lemonades. I think like if I had to choose one, I would choose Thin Mints, which is kind of basic, I feel like, but they're just so good.
They're
Like
so solid. Like they're just a really
like
good
I
mint
could eat
cookie.
like I really could eat an entire box if there were like no consequences. Whereas the lemonades, I feel like I could eat four and be satisfied. But the Thin Mints, they never,
They're really addictive.
yeah.
And yeah, so thank you to Girl Scouts for sponsoring this episode. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know why every time I mention a brand, I feel the need to joke about them sponsoring, but it's
Yeah.
like they're obviously not sponsoring.
I'm actually currently in the city of the foundation of Girl Scouts. The founder grew up in Savannah, Georgia. And like we have there's like a Girl Scout cookie museum where I'm pretty sure you can get free or not free. You can get Girl Scout cookies like all year round. That's what I've heard, but I haven't been there yet.
They're so good. I don't buy them very often, but I'm like, ugh, after this conversation, I'm like, let me find nearest Girl Scout where you at. And I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, literally. I just buy like 2 boxes a year because I'm the only one eating. Like, I just buy them for myself. But I try
Right.
not to go
But I love
overboard.
trying all the flavors. I don't know. Anyways, so for a okay, English, I just like glitched. Music and TV shout out. I just like mixed movie and music and was like music. But yeah, music and TV shout outs. So I'm shouting out Saturn by SZA because new SZA song. So obviously
Mm.
we are sat, we
Wait,
are
I haven't
here.
listened to that yet.
It's really good. It's like she's just like consistently giving great songs. And that's all I have to say.
A bunch of random new songs came out overnight last night, and I'm really confused. Like, it's literally, I mean, I know it's like, I don't know, it's Thursday. Like, 21 Pilots, Casey Musgraves, Cage the Elephant, and Charlie XCX all came out with a new song last
Oh
night.
yeah, and Cage the Elephant has an album coming out in the summer, I think. Or like
Oh, did they
May.
announce it?
They did. The album cover is so cool.
Oh, what the heck? I didn't see it. I think I saw the album cover with their. Well, maybe I didn't. Wait, I need to see.
But my second song shout out is Summer Breeze by Seals and Crofts, which is like an old song. And it was one of those songs they used to play. Wait, oh my gosh. It used to play on the 80s radio station that we would listen to when I was younger while eating pizza. And I just
Mm,
realized that the reason why I love that song so much is because of the nostalgia behind it. So that, like, I didn't even connect the dots. Like, I didn't, there wasn't a correlation intended, but
mm-hmm.
that very much is related to, to
Hold on, sorry.
nostalgia.
I'm like distracted by the Cage the Elephant thing, but they're touring. They're
Yes.
coming to our town, but I'll be in LA, so let's see if they're going to LA. They're going to LA in July. Oh my gosh, wait, I might go.
That's so
Okay, yeah.
funny.
Well, that's nostalgic for me because one of my first concerts was Cage the Elephant in high school, and it was really good, and their music is very nostalgic for me.
Yes.
Um,
Everything is actually tying back to
my
nostalgia. And it's like
yeah,
crazy.
the key in a podcast is if you go off on a tangent, you have to relate it back to the main topic.
But I feel like what we do is we just
Um,
go on a tangent and then like do anything to be like, this relates because this, and this. And it makes, there's no
yeah.
correlation, but we're like, wow, it relates.
Yeah. Okay, so my music shout out is MGMT's new album came out last weekend and it's so good. I've listened to it a lot. I think I guess I'll shout out two songs too since you shouted out two cuz I have two songs that are tied on the album for me. Loss of Life, which is like the title track, is really good. It's like a really
I
it
feel
just
like you
like
shouted that one out
scratches my
last week. I think
brain.
the album was out when we recorded last.
Did we really? Wait, you're right.
Because I was getting like weird deja vu for a second. And then I was like, wait, Anna, I think it was out when we
Oh my
recorded
gosh, that
last.
is wait, that's so funny. Yeah, okay. What?
Well, we can
It
tell
feels
us one
like
of
you
your favorite
recorded
songs
so
because
long
it's stuck
ago.
with you.
Yeah, it's already on the playlist. LOL. Okay, then in that case, I'll just shout out one song, and that's I Wish I Was Joking, which is my other favorite song from the album.
I also
Um,
really like the Dancing in Babylon one, actually.
yeah, I like that one too. That one kind of grew on me because it like sounds a lot different from what they typically do.
I just realized that because their album is called Loss of Life, the acronym is LOL, which is
Yeah, I
so
know.
laugh out
That's
loud.
why that's why like yeah, that's not why I've been saying LOL more, but it's like I'm like whenever I say LOL, I'm like
Oh my
LOL
gosh,
lost
Loss
the
of
life.
Life, go stream. I'm a walking
Yeah.
promotion for MGMT. This episode is actually sponsored. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Um
Do you have any movie shout
Shout out to
outs?
MGMT. I don't. I haven't watched anything this whole week.
I haven't either, and it's so sad. I haven't watched anything really except for like Barbie movies, but I already shouted that one out too. But yeah, okay, should we just get into the episode or do you have any week recap things?
I have an exciting week recap.
Oh, wait, you
I
do.
Yeah, I got my well, I just referenced this like a minute ago, but I just got my internship for the summer, which I think I can should I say where I'm working or no? Is that like
I mean, maybe you can say it later or something, and then you can figure out if,
yeah.
like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll just say yeah, I'll be in LA this summer, which is really exciting,
Yes,
but
rather be
also
safe than
sad.
sorry.
It's also sad for the telepathy podcast because that means we'll be virtual still.
But also,
But
like, what if I come to LA? Like, I kind of want to tour UCLA,
you should.
but also
But
like
yeah,
college debt, but like I can still look at it. You know what I mean?
yeah. So basically, long story short, I got two internship acceptances on like or offers on like basically the same day, and I was like having a really hard time deciding between the two because they're both like huge, awesome companies. Um,
But I guess that's a
so
good problem to have. Is like, oh my gosh, like
yeah,
which really huge internship do I want?
yeah. So I ended up going with one. It's in the entertainment industry, I'll say that. So slash concert industry.
Yeah, we'll have to like check with our producers and agents and stuff if we can disclose that. But I'm just kidding.
Hmm.
I like lie so much, and sometimes I'm scared that like people are gonna think I'm serious. But yeah, okay. Nostalgia,
Nostalgia.
future nostalgia, nostalgia, nostalgia. I don't know.
Future nostalgia is the
Future
name.
Future Nostalgia is such a good pop album, and we're not gonna go on that tangent, but Dua
It is
Lipa,
that. Well, that album makes me also nostalgic for quarantine.
and we've done an episode on why we're nostalgic over quarantine, but today we're gonna talk about the whole idea of nostalgia in general. And I think this is one reason why Christmas is always so I guess
Mm.
like Christmas Day
Mhm.
sometimes is an emotional roller coaster because it's and I just like randomly thought of this, but a holiday, it's like a very consistent, it's like not consistent, but there's a consistent idea or concept behind it that happens every year.
Right.
So it is like a feeling of familiarity, but then you get nostalgic.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting you say that because like thinking about Christmas, like my family has pretty much the same routine on Christmas that we've done. It's
Right.
almost like a routine thing that like
Well, a
and pretty much
tradition,
well yeah,
a
but
routine.
like it's like a routine. I'm like comparing it to a routine where like you know what to expect and pretty much every year it's been like really good. So you like know that you're about to experience something really good. But if it doesn't end up being as good as your memory remembers it, you could be going the whole day like, wait, like why isn't it the same?
I think that's also another huge thing about nostalgia and why sometimes it's really annoying is because sometimes our memory loves to face tune our memories love to face tune and filter and stuff.
Mhm.
Not actually face tune. I'm just saying that in the sense that a lot of memories can be distorted and you really only think about like the good parts.
Mhm.
But in the present moment, it's hard to just ignore the good parts. So I think that's why we're always
Yeah.
looking back and kind of thinking like, wow, I was so happy then. But it's like, were you? Or I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like some of these things I remember us saying in our quarantine episode because I was just about to bring up a song lyric that now that I'm about to say it, I'm like 99% sure I said this in the quarantine episode, but it's it's a lyric from Tame Impala's what's the
Yes.
song called? What's it called? Lost in Yesterday song, and it says eventually terrible memories turn into great ones, and I'm like for sure that
Yeah.
I quoted this before, but it's like I love that
Or
lyric.
was that in like the seasons episode or something?
I quoted it at some point.
Yeah,
That's what I know
it's
for sure.
definitely, it's ringing a bell. But one of the huge things that started this conversation and how we came up with this idea is because we were talking about how frequently we just scroll through our camera rolls, or like Anna, you were saying with your Snapchat
Mhm.
memories and stuff. And it's gone to the
Mhm.
point where I literally use it as a social media.
Yeah, it's like a social media with your past self.
Like you check up on like how they're doing and you're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I was doing so much better then or something. Or you look back at a memory and you're like, ugh, I wish I was still in elementary school and didn't have homework or something stupid like that.
Yes. Yeah, like the other day I was finding myself like procrastinating on my work. And so I was going through my Snapchat memories from like the past few months. And a lot of my Snapchat memories are just things from my private story that have saved to my memories. But some of them I also just sometimes make like private story or um I just save memories of myself. It's almost like I'm talking to myself. It's like I'm talking to myself and then I just save them to my memories.
Wait, that's
Cuz I
funny.
like cuz I like think of funny things, but I don't want to post it. So I just make it for myself. That's kind of silly. But like
No, I know what you mean. Like you want, it's almost like you're like locking a thought away in
yeah,
a
exactly.
little message in a
So,
bottle, a time
yeah, so I was
capsule
like
or like whatever.
yeah. So I was like looking through those and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so funny."
I love you getting nostalgic over your humor.
Yeah,
But
but bringing it back to nostalgia, like um sometimes I am nostalgic like, "Oh my gosh, I remember this." But then I have to remind myself that like no time is ever perfect and I was probably like really stressed or like, you know, like I shouldn't romanticize things.
yeah, and the other day I was thinking back to freshman year and I was like, "Oh my gosh, my classes were so much easier. I had so many friends or whatever." And then I had to stop myself and I was thinking about it. I was like, there's a reason why I'm still not friend or why I'm not friends with a lot of the people I was friends with my freshman year
Mm,
because it's like I feel like then it's very much so quantity over quality. And obviously
mhm.
those friendships didn't last for a reason. So it's not like I don't know why I'm like beating myself up about it as if it's like, Oh my gosh, I'm flopping now because I don't have as many friends, but it's like
Mm.
quantity over quality. Or wait, no, quality over quantity. I keep glitching and then like not saying what I intend to say. But yeah.
I feel like we should like look up an article about
Yeah, okay. So
nostalgia
now
to like.
I have which one do we want first? Do we want like the actual article about the danger of nostalgia or do we want the Reddit article?
Ooh, let's start with Reddit.
Okay. So this post it's actually from 4 years ago. So everyone get nostalgic from 4 years ago. Oh my gosh.
Oh, wait, that was literally quarantine. That's so nostalgic.
I know, wait, it was for, or I guess like it wasn't quarantine just yet then because it's still February, but
Oh, right. Oh, wait, yeah, it's
because
almost the
2020 technically
anniversary.
still had 2 normal months, at least here in America. But oh my gosh, everyone get nostalgic to the way that we used to talk in 2019 or 2020.
Mm.
I'm just kidding. Okay. So somebody says, nostalgia is hands down the worst feeling. It just sucks to be reminded of when times when it was good. Okay, that's a typo. I'm not just reading it wrong.
Mhm.
So it sucks to be reminded of times when it was good, worry-free childhood. This is like not fully comprehensible. Listening to some music makes me want to die because of nostalgia. I guess in a way it's both a blessing and a curse.
Mm.
Sometimes listening to
Mhm.
songs that are like a little too nostalgic,
Mhm.
it's like, let me just swerve and drive off. Okay, no, let me not. Okay. Anyways,
No, like for me, I typically with songs that make me feel nostalgic, I typically don't. It's more of like a positive feeling than a negative feeling for me, at least. Like I I love like having not heard a song in a while and then it pops up in my like autoplay or something and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't heard the song in so long." I'm also just like I literally associate songs so much with like the time in my life that I was listening to them,
hmm
even to the point where like typically when I come back from a quarter, like from a break between quarters, I can't listen to any of the music from the last quarter because it reminds me of like how stressed I was the
yeah, you
previous
need like a
quarter.
refresh.
It needs like a year to like for my brain to like disconnect those emotions from the music and then feel nostalgic about it.
Right. I think there's some songs that are overly nostalgic for me to where I fall in love with the past, but then I grow
Mhm.
this deep, not like grow, I just feel this deep hatred for the present, but it's like,
Mm.
it's kind of just like a
Mhm.
toxic way to live because it's almost like raising my standards for the present, which sounds a little depressing, but
Mm.
it's never
Wait,
going to
that's
be picture
interesting.
perfect. Like, so when I think
Yeah.
about my childhood, I'm like, ugh. Anyways, okay, I'm going to read
Yeah.
this one
Wait, what's
response.
your wait, I have a question. What's your most if you had to choose one song that like comes to your mind when you think of nostalgia, what song would it be?
I mean, at the moment, it's going to be the Summer Breeze song that I shouted out.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I think also just a lot of Nicki Minaj is really nostalgic for me. Like Pink Friday Roman Reloaded, like the pop
Mhm.
Nicki songs that honestly a lot of people are like about, but like Automatic and like Whip It, like that was like I was literally
Mhm.
so young listening to those and it was just everything for me.
Yeah. I think my nostalgic song that I always think like it's just the first one that comes to my mind is like it's really I feel funny saying this, but it's Closer by Halsey and the Chainsmokers.
Stop. That like was
I u-
2016. That was
I
the
used to
year.
love that song in 2016 and like something about it like that style of music that's like very electronic pop music just
So
reminds me of
baby,
2016
pull me
so
closer.
much. And Roses by Roses featuring the Chainsmokers too. That one is very
Yes.
yeah.
Say you'll never let me down. Okay, I'm gonna read this response really fast. Or
Okay.
it doesn't have to be really fast. I don't know why I said that. Okay. When we are kids, we are inclined to remember more about what happened and have deeper feelings of those episodes since we haven't lived much yet. Everything feels new and markable, but as we grow, we dilute our experiences, making them less valuable to us. With that, every good
Mm.
time we had as a child will mean more as the good times experiencing the same things as an adult. That's where come okay, typos, guys. Check before you post on Reddit. That's where it come okay. That's where our nostalgic feelings come and always think that the past was better than the present. They're the same, but our understanding is very different. that kind of goes with what you were saying that in that one episode, I think, about how every year feels faster, kind of, because
Yeah.
it's a different percentage, or the way you explained it was a lot better. But I guess that kind of
Yeah,
does play into
yeah. I know
nostalgia.
exactly what you're talking about. I was thinking about that too, actually, before when we were planning out this episode, or not like planning it out, but like talking about it, what we were gonna do. I was thinking about that too. I was like, I wonder if that has to do with nostalgia, is like just the fact that your every year gets faster. So if you didn't listen to this episode where I talked about this, it's basically this theory that like every year, like your life speeds up, because if you're 1 years old, when you get to your first birthday, that's 1 year is 100% of your life. If you get to your like 10th birthday, 10 years, 1 year is 10% of your life. And then each year just becomes a smaller percentage of your life, that it feels faster, because it's like not really that big of a year isn't like a big unit anymore. Um so yeah, I feel like that would have to do with nostalgia, like just like you remember a lot from your childhood, I guess.
And so that's why it's almost more memorable, because if it's your birthday or something and you're just a little down about it because it's not hitting the same way it did when you were 5.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
one, I guess, I mean, obviously, children, I feel like it's easier to make them happy, like you kind of just
Yeah.
give them like a Barbie doll and it's like, oh my gosh. Um, but it's because you've had less birthdays, so each one is more special, which sounds a little weird, but if you think about it,
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
obviously each birthday is going to be less valuable if you've had 30 of them as opposed to 5 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that
Exactly.
it's not just with birthdays, like that's just like how nostalgia works. And
Mhm.
I don't know, I always think about like fall of 7th grade, which is honestly just like a weird time, but it's because that was early in middle school. And so that was what fall looked like in middle school was new to me. But now it's like I'm in my 3rd year of high
Right.
school and stuff. So I know what each fall season looks like. So it feels repetitive to me. So that's why I'm just getting nostalgic about a different time in my life. I don't know if that made any sense at all, but
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Okay. I have this theory that I feel like could go off of the future nostalgia idea.
Dua Lipa,
But do
shout
you
out Dua
ever,
Lipa.
okay. So I'm gonna like use this story as an example, because I feel like if I didn't use a real life example, like it would make no sense. Okay,
Okay.
so I always had this thing in like middle school slash high school, where when I would listen to fall music, or like what I thought was what I consider fall music, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like this music is giving such like walking on a college campus in the fall vibes, to where I had this like future nostalgia of like one day I'm gonna be in college listening to this music and being nostalgic about this music, even though the reason I'm nostalgic is because I'm thinking about the future.
Right. Because you're
But
existing in that future that your old self was kind of
yeah,
thinking about. So you're getting nostalgic to how your old self thought.
yeah. Which the funny thing is, A, I don't live on a college campus, it's a city campus, and B, the leaves don't change in Savannah, so it's like not really like what I pictured in my head. But like this fall in like October or September or something, I had this day where the stars aligned, and I played that fall playlist, and like the moment happened, and I was like, this is the day that this was meant for. Like,
Oh my
this is
gosh.
the day that was supposed to happen. That
Was it a
like
good fall
my middle.
playlist or was it like Stay by Zed and Alessia Cara?
No, that sounds more summer to me, but like um some of the stuff like that. Not really that, but more like the 2013, 2014, 2012
Okay, okay,
pop
yeah.
music. So
Sweater
Girls Chase
Weather.
Boys, Sweater Weather, Girls Chase Boys by like um you know that song?
Yeah, wait, I've no idea that. Yeah.
And just some like quote unquote like indie pop 2012 music. But it's like that was my future nostalgia moment.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought about what future nostalgia looks like, but now I'm thinking about it
I
and I
didn't even
realize
think
how
about.
much I do that in my head where I'm like imagining where I'll be and I'm like what I'm listening to and what I'm wearing.
Mhm. Yeah, it's also funny like sometimes I really like I guess it is future nostalgia, but um the idea of like writing a letter to your future self or like sometimes in Snapchat memory, like once I made this Snapchat memory to my future self that was like future self, where are you at college? Like where do you go to college or something? And then like years later or a year or two later, I got that as a memory and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like now I know where I'm at."
Yeah, and I'm also seeing this one comment, I don't fully understand what it's saying, but it's almost like we turn to nostalgia to fill a certain element or fill a certain hole. Okay,
Mhm.
let me read this. Here's probably the most beautiful part of nostalgia, though. It's not just a memory or fondly remembering something, it's a memory we have of something that we can't have known or experienced, and instead dwell on that pain of realizing what we missed and being gone from our
I think
home.
they might be saying you're feeling nostalgic for something that you didn't realize would be nostalgic in the future. Like something that
Oh,
you took for granted during the moment, maybe.
oh, wait, that's true.
I feel like sometimes the things I'm most nostalgic about are things that I took for granted in the past. But sometimes I also have moments, kind of like the future nostalgia thing, where I'm like, I'm having a good experience and I'm like, the feeling of being in a good experience that you know is going to feel nostalgic later, but
Yes.
you have to try to like experience as much of it as possible that you're in the moment. A lot of this
Every time
time
we
it
travel
happens.
together.
Yeah, I was gonna say that when we travel together, we're like, oh, like when we went to California, for example, we're like, oh my gosh, we're on a trip right now that we're gonna be looking back at in a year and being like, oh, I wish we were here. Or also with concerts, that's why I feel like at concerts, I don't always process that I'm there because I'm too busy being like, oh my gosh, I am here. Like, I need to experience this.
Right. Okay, should I read this other article now?
Mm-hmm.
So this is called The Dangers of Nostalgia, Why It's Unhealthy to Dwell on Happy Memories. And this is from stoicsimple.com. I guess I'll just start from the beginning.
Okay.
The important part first. Happy memories are good things to have, but dwelling on them too much and falling victim to sentimental longing can make us blind to the good stuff in our present.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes I'm so stuck in the past. And I feel like even on our trips, they're inevitably iconic.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes, for example, we went to Hilton Head, and
Mm-hmm.
we always talk about it as the peak. Like, we describe music
Yeah.
as Hilton Head vibes. Like, it is a genre, it
Yeah.
was a moment. And so now when I feel like I go on trips, I'm almost not like stuck on that because all of our trips end up being iconic, which is good.
Mm.
But it's just like I'm
No,
looking for that
yeah.
same feeling, but
Yeah.
the feeling is right in front of me because, you know, with the mountains, now we're in a pretty mountain house and we're all having a good time. And now there's not a global pandemic.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a
Yeah.
lot to not take for granted in the present.
Yeah, the funny thing is though, like two things. Like one, we really like are nostalgic about the Hilton Head trip, but I remember like when we first got to Hilton Head, this I remember being like we did this thing where we're like alter your reality to where the trip is almost over and like
Yes.
I don't know why we do this, but we're like alter your reality to where like this is our last day on vacation and
We were talking
it's
about that
like
before we even left for the trip.
yeah, I remember talking about it on the first day because we got that puzzle out. We had some sort of puzzle, and I remember sitting around the puzzle and being like, guys, and then like I think you or Kirk or someone was like, guys, we need to stop doing this. We need to stop saying this.
It probably wasn't me because I feel like I was the one who was like every day thinking about like
Yeah.
one day left.
And then the other funny thing is like when you think back to the Hilton Head trip, like obviously it was really great most of the time, but then like so many other things happened too. Like my dad got stung by the stingray. Um, Kirk was having like his leg issues where he had to like use an electric bike.
And of course, we never think about
Um,
that when we think of the trip.
I remember it raining one of the days. Yeah, so it's like we have like a false reality of what it was actually like.
It was still a really
It
good
was
trip,
really good
though.
though. Yeah.
And also, we didn't see anybody because it was still COVID or whatever. So it's like that's
Mhm.
another element that, for example, on our mountain trip, we did actually get to interact with the public.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, this is interesting though. It says nostalgia is a bit like alcohol. A drink or two is fine, but once you start, it's easy to overindulge. What's
Yeah.
pleasant in small amounts can quickly lead to suffering. The tipping point for nostalgia comes when you start comparing your happiest memories to what you're experiencing in the present. If you're indulging in nostalgia, be careful not to fall into the trap of thinking, today must be bad because yesterday was better.
Yeah. This is I just thought of another funny story because I was trying to think of moments when like I've been so nostalgic that it's unhealthy, which like isn't often. I feel like it's not often, but I was just thinking about this when the song Stressed Out by 21 Pilots came out. I was in like 7th grade or something.
Stop.
And I remember listening to those lyrics and literally like being borderline like crying because I was like, this is so like sad. And I don't remember if I was upset because I knew that I was in the time where I wasn't stressed out and that in the future I would wish I could turn back time to the good old days, or if I actually felt like I was stressed out in 7th grade, I'm not sure.
Yeah, like when our mama sang us to sleep and now we're stressed out.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember actually in fourth grade with that song, I would get sad over the bridge where it was like used to build a rocket ship or and then we fly far away, used to dream of
Yeah,
outer
we
space,
fire.
but now we're laughing at our face, saying, wake up, you need to make money.
Yeah.
And it's like, what money do I need to make in fourth grade?
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I feel like I was actually in 7th grade, I feel like I was actually like relating to the lyrics or something, but I don't know why I was. Like,
Maybe it's just all
why?
downhill from here. No, I'm just kidding. Let me not say that. But maybe we're just always gonna look back at the past like that. And I think kind of going back to our last episode, you can't use the past as a coping mechanism, is what
Mm-hmm.
the so is what that's the general conclusion that I'm getting from this.
Mm-hmm.
But because there have been some times where I just feel very empty, I guess, and not loving the current daily routine. So I'll literally go back and read old text conversations and analyze how I used to text and what I used to
Mm-hmm.
talk about, who I used to talk to, as if that would like signify what my current like status is. Not status meaning like at what version of myself am I at? Like am I upgrading or
Yeah.
downgrading? Like
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
current software update good or bad?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I I have two different perceptions of myself in 7th grade. I think of like the really nostalgic like playing outside version of myself, but then I also think of like the cringy and
The
like
musically.
I don't want to be that person again right now, but I do want to experience some of the things I experienced during that time. So it's almost like I feel like the key is that if you're being over nostalgic, you should think of it objectively and think of like the actual like bad things or like not as perfect things during that time too. And then you'll realize that like every time is not perfect and you may be nostalgic in the future for what you're experiencing right now. Like I'll definitely be nostalgic for what I'm experiencing right now. Like it's weird to think that in a year and a half when I'm done with college, like I'll be nostalgic about this time.
No, literally, that's so scary. But I think also there is a positive you can get out of nostalgia and think that when you see a happy memory, that there are so many more chances to create
Mhm.
memories exactly like those. And in the present, you might not appreciate it as much, but then we're
Yeah.
constantly creating new memories to look back on. So I guess that's why it's just good to look forward and not be stuck in the past,
Mhm.
because it honestly only makes things worse in the present, because there have been times where I'll like look back at pictures of myself from, I don't know, like sophomore year or something, or even when I was like really young, and think, wow, like my nose was so much softer or something, or my skin was so much clearer. But it's like, that's only gonna make you hate yourself more in the present. So it's like,
Mhm.
just let it go. Like the past is the past.
Yeah,
And there are good
definitely.
things to looking at the past, like looking back at a trip or like a good memory, but you don't have to fully be informed of every detail of your past 24/7, because it's like you lived it. You don't need a constant reminder if it's like a bad memory or something.
Yeah. And I think that it helps you to like live in the moment when you realize that there are always good and bad things, because like it's it's good to be excited for stuff, but you shouldn't be so excited for things to where you're like not enjoying the present moment. So like for example, I have a bunch of fun stuff coming up this year and I keep being like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait." But I'm also like I need to stay in the moment because my life's just going to go by super fast if I just keep waiting for the next fun thing.
I'm so serious. I'm actually glad that I'm gonna be at the Nicki Minaj concert by myself, because I need time to think. Like I genuinely need to ground myself. And like, if you're not like a full-on Barb, you might not get it, but I've been waiting for this moment for so long. Not just this tour, but just
Yeah.
like seeing Nicki Minaj in general has been not just a bucket list, but like a genuine life goal. So I really need to ground
Yeah.
myself and make sure that I'm not just overlooking it, and that I
Yeah.
am there for like
But
every second of the show.
yeah, I feel like you shouldn't I also feel like you shouldn't overthink it though. Like you shouldn't constantly be like, "Oh my gosh, I have to be present," because sometimes especially during concerts, for me that's when I'm like so focused on being present that I'm actually not present.
You're like disassociating because you're trying to be
Yeah.
present, but then you end up
Yeah.
just existing in this reality where you're trying to focus and you're not actually there.
Exactly. Exactly. But it's hard. That's like hard.
Definitely easier said
I
than done.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, that's pretty much I think our conversation for today.
I think the moral of the story is, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened.
Oh my gosh. So true. We should make that the title of the episode. No, I'm just kidding.
And well, no, I'm just kidding. um, but yeah, that is our episode. We hope you enjoyed. Make sure to follow our podcast and review it, or whatever is applicable to
Yeah.
the platform you're using. Do it,
Yeah.
just do it. Shout out to Nike. I'm
Check
kidding.
out
Actually, I
yeah.
don't like Nike. This is like boring.
Check out our Instagram at the telepathy pod. I realized that I forgot to shout out our telepathy playlist earlier, which is what we were adding our songs to. But we basically have a playlist on Spotify called the telepathy playlist that has all of our music shout outs. And you can get to that by going to our Instagram that I just mentioned and the real little highlights section with a link to the playlist. But yeah, on Instagram, we just kind of like post updates of what we're doing every week, and we also post like a camp question sticker for you to answer your own camp question. I'm also hoping to work eventually on like not like rebranding the Instagram, but just like making it more interactive and fun.
Right. We're
But
just
I'm
so
so busy
busy,
right now.
but it's fine.
Yeah, it will happen sometime, but I don't know when. Yes. All right. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week with episode 44.
And if you're listening to this episode a year from now and you're getting nostalgic to when you originally listened to it, hey, no,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, wait, isn't that weird to think that like we could go back and listen to our own episodes and be nostalgic for like that time?
Yeah, but I'd also just cringe and be like, shut up, please.
Yeah, yeah, it's still so recent that I can't really listen to it, but maybe in like 5 years I'll be able to go
There's some
back.
YouTube videos that I get nostalgic over, not my own, but just
Mm-hmm.
other people's.
Yeah. Really, for me, it's just all the old saturation era videos, like Alicia Marie and stuff.
Literally anything I consumed in my past is nostalgic at this point.
Literally, yeah.
So yeah, Okay. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.